your blazer, keep the heat on. We up at the crack of dawn, not the ones to sleep on. Now you about to hear it from the best.
Welcome back to Up the Score with AP. I'm your host, Alexis Pierce. Up the Score with AP is a podcast dedicated to amplifying the voices and stories of women athletes, not only in their sport, but far beyond it. Today, I have the pleasure of talking to a pioneer, a revolutionist, someone who is a commentator, analyst, host, 3-time Forbes lister, founder of Highlight Her, and a person who wears all the hats. I will say that she does have a superpower. She loves to be everywhere somehow at the same time, but she still manages to do her job extremely well. Someone I have the pleasure to know and love and work alongside, Ari Chambers.
Oh, I love you too,
Period. So, Ari, what's been up? What's new? I know we've talked before this, and you've just been everywhere.
I love how you say I love to be everywhere. The job calls me to be everywhere, and I go where women's sports is. And now that women's sports has grown so much, there's so many opportunities to travel back and forth around the world, and I don't take it for granted. But loving to travel, honestly, if I had a superpower, she's learning teleportation. Because ain't no way I should be on a plane more than my bed. But it is what it is.
It is what it is. But you be duplicating everywhere. I don't know how you
sleep
do
on
it.
planes. Everybody's like, Ari, how do you sleep like a baby? Like
Period.
The turbulence just rocks me to bed.
Period. So I just want to get right into it. I mean, I don't think anywhere to start is best for where you started at. I mean, from the 919.
Period.
North
Raleigh,
Carolina.
Hey, Raleigh specifically.
Raleigh specifically. You went to NC State. Kind of talk about your pathway to journalism, because it wasn't traditional.
No.
It was very unconventional, what your normal broadcaster or commentator would do. You went a different route, but you wanted to be a model. You really
I was a model. That was what paid the bills.
That's what paid the bills. You wanted to be a model, but somehow you're here now. Mm-hmm. Kind of talk us through that a little bit.
So when I was in college, I wanted to be a defense attorney. I wanted to do criminal law. I wanted all the things in that way. Then I quickly realized through advocacy and activism that I was a little too empathetic to have that as a career, and ended up, long story short, dropped out of school, dropped back into school, did communication media, tried so hard to not go the same route as my dad. My dad did, he was a producer for ABC for a long time, or the ABC affiliate in North Carolina for a long time. And I was like, I just don't want to follow the same path. Ended up falling right there with him. He's a mass comm professor at North Carolina Central University, so it's just apple doesn't fall too far from the tree. But when I first moved up to New York, had no intention of storytelling, had no intention of being a journalist. I was a model and a cheerleader. Like, that was what I did. So modeling paid the bills, amongst other things. And we just did what we had to do. If you ever lived in New York City, you do what you have to do to get the rent paid. And I did what I had to do to get the rent paid for so long. And it wasn't until well into living in Manhattan that I got to where I am.
I mean, Ari, I think when you talk about going from the field of modeling and then now into storytelling, you had to pivot. Talk about a little bit of that pivot, because that's not the same. That's not the same story of being a model. Now you're storytelling. Kind of talk about that pivot.
There's power of pivot, but there's also power in accumulating traits and habits that will help you in the long run. Every single job, career, honestly, I've had multiple careers that I have had have contributed to how I perform now. Yeah. So whether that's modeling and hearing the word no like 6 times a day, like I had to hear no so often whenever I would go to castings that my fear of rejection went out the window, because if you're afraid of it, you're going to live in fear with modeling. Then you have performing at Madison Square Garden 5 times a week between the Knicks, the Rangers, and the Liberty. I have no stage fright. Like, I don't mind really putting on for thousands of people night after night. And then I did fashion PR, which now I know how to deal with people. I know the different layers of lens with big events. I know how to deal with scrums because of that. It's transferable skills. And then also writing. I think the best TV people or the best people who are on camera have a writing background, because you know how to communicate more effectively. You know how to depict the game through words. And when you become an on-camera talent. It's a direct feed to that.
Yeah. For me, my pivot because I played college basketball.
Yes, you did. You were pivoting on the court. Now you're pivoting in life.
And now I'm pivoting in life. But no, it's a real thing, pivoting. I mean, I played basketball from when I was 4 years old up until college.
Do you miss it?
I miss it. I definitely miss it. But I'm doing something else that's still fulfilling.
Yep.
I never imagined that I would have to put up my shoes, but the fact that I'm still in the landscape of sport still fulfills me. Like, even when I played basketball, I was going from practice, going to our men's team or our men's game, and was doing sideline for them. Yep. So
come on, dedication.
Talk about that pivot, because it's not an easy thing to do, considering you had an idea of what your life would look like before and what it is now. So I've had to recollect, it's like the idea of being and doing, or doing and being. I always was so like, I need to work out. I need to rely on my work ethic. I need to go to practice. I need to do this. And now it's like, it's okay to just live in this world, to where it's like, okay, now I'm in my field. I'm still doing something that I enjoy. Yeah. And that's storytelling.
I feel like to step away from a team environment that is so disciplined like that, it reframes the entire way you move through life. So if you are an athlete that is on the brink of pivoting or thinking about switching careers, whether that's by choice or not, get into therapy, because it shows itself in weird ways. I would find myself overperforming at my corporate job. Yeah. I would find myself goal setting and things that didn't necessarily need goals, right? Like, it was just it was so much that I had misplaced or displaced energy that I didn't know how to deal with when I first left my sport.
We're just so used to being overachievers.
Yeah, overachievers, and then especially sports like competitive cheer or gymnastics, everything is so precision based that if you are even off by a hair, that's a deduction. Yeah. So that was the mentality I was in. And I know that it wasn't a healthy headspace. Even with modeling, that was a pivot to modeling. Another career that's perfection-based, right? We had, back in the day, we had to be between 5'9" and 5'11", 34, 24, 34. That was the measurements you had to be. There was no give on that. If you didn't make that, you didn't get jobs. Like, you just didn't. So I was very much regimented to that. And so from cheerleading to modeling, that was an easier transition, because it still required you to be that rigid about life. But when I went into sports broadcast, I find myself overly critical of my performances. I find myself saying, oh, I don't have that second chance. And so it's been a really dynamic transition, because I've had to learn to accept the flaws that come with the job, especially on live TV, because you can't get a redo.
I was watching a podcast where you said you literally are practicing every day in front of the world.
And that's the thing. It's like, when you work in a certain space, people try to compartmentalize you. They try to put you in a box. And I never subscribed to being in a box. And so there are certain jobs that I'll book based off of the work that I've done in other spaces that don't necessarily translate as seamlessly, right? Yeah. And so, like, for example, Athletes Unlimited, sideline. I hadn't done sideline in 4 or 5 years. It's a completely different muscle than hosting, right? Yeah. And so I had to get back in the swing of things, but my practice was what everybody was viewing on TV. Granted, everybody has an opinion, so I respect that, and we put ourselves front-facing and subject ourselves to that, so that comes with the job. However, I'm already overcritical of myself, and then everybody has an opinion on my first time back in 5 years. Yeah. And that's something that's very hard to deal with.
It's an adjustment.
It is. It's an adjustment, and psychologically, you have to deal with people having an opinion on something that you know you haven't perfected in a world that you're used to perfection. So there's just so much that was I had to overcome mentally, quitting my sport, going into sports broadcast, being so front-facing, and accepting people's critiques, because at least with cheerleading and gymnastics and modeling, you only had to hear from 3 people. Now it's 300,000, 1.3 million. And so it's just a very different thing.
I want to go back a little bit to your journey of cheerleading. You cheerlead at a professional level with the Knicks, and then later on with the Liberty. Kind of talk about that journey.
Yeah, so my whole life I did competitive cheer. So Kathy Bucky, cheer legend, by the way.
Period.
She owned my cheer gym, and she was NC State's women's head coach at the time as well. And so I just only grew up knowing all-star cheerleading.
Yeah.
Like middle school, we had to have a standing tug. It was crazy. It was like nuts. Anyway, so then when I graduated, I actually went to a W game in 2014 and saw that they had this group called the Torch Patrol, and I really wanted to be a part of it. So I wrote the entertainment director at Madison Square Garden saying, hey, I want to be a part of this. And she was like, you need to do a year of the Knicks first. I was like, well, that's not what I asked you. Like, I never had the design energy for the Knicks, but whatever. So I did Knicks, and then I did Torch Patrol, and then Rangers Blue Crew. And so just being able to integrate all that, and all the while still doing Cheer New York, was just a charity cheerleading squad that's arguably probably the best pro or adult cheerleading group that New York has, because it's level 6 cheerleading, but we do it for charity. So we raise money for LGBTQIA plus youth that were seeking asylum. And that was like our whole premise. And we would perform at parades and things. Anyways, on a tangent. But that's how I ended up there. But it was fun. It was great.
When you look at your journey from everything that you've accomplished now, have you ever thought, like, I think I'm in over my head a little bit?
I never get a sense of overwhelming, because I feel like if it's presented to me, I'm prepared for it.
Yeah.
I've done the groundwork so that if I fall, it's still falling on a foundation.
Yeah.
So it's never, overwhelm is not what I would use. I would say, do I feel prepared or not? That's how I enter every single job. And the only times I've ever felt anxious about something, if I didn't have the time to prepare for it. So there are times where I don't feel like I had adequate time to prepare to the level of, performance that I would like. But overwhelmed, no. I love running off of just
coffee.
Running off of coffee, and I love when I have the energy to do it. I remember like 5, 6, maybe 7 years ago now, a C-suite exec told me, you have so much energy and it's not sustainable. And I'm like, who are you to tell me that my energy can't be sustainable? I love what I do. I love being able to amplify the stories of these great athletes. I love sitting down doing this. I love talking to people. I have a genuine curiosity for people, so that feeds me. So as long as I'm fed, I'm going to have the energy for it, right? When you eat, I mean, outside of when we knock out, but like when you eat, you feel fed. Go run. All the things.
And when I asked you that, when you started Highlight Her, you literally built that from the ground up.
Yeah.
I mean, when I was watching you with Highlight Her, I'm like, I'm getting all my information from Highlight Her. It was the fastest growing platform on the Instagram. The way you went about gathering people to support you for Highlight Her, what went into, first of all, the concept of it, but what was the reasoning for starting Highlight Her to even begin with?
Yeah, so when I was doing Torch Patrol for the Liberty, I noticed that people weren't talking to my friends who were coming in and out of Madison Square Garden. That's where the Liberty used to play. And as a result, I saw everybody in the league. Top 144 athletes at the time going in and out of the world's most famous arena. Nobody's talking about them. Why? So I would just go to their rooms and record conversations and post them. And then the company saw that, and we found synergy to work together to start their women's platform. Yeah. So that's how Highlighter was founded. In 2.5 years, I did it by myself, DMing people cold, relying on the relationships I had built by being just in proximity to women's sports at the time. I was very much basketball heavy initially, but I was talking about basketball salaries to somebody who plays softball, and she was like, well, I only make $5,000 a season. I said, oh God, there's so much more to tell. Yeah. And so it opened up my eyes to be able to cover all ages, levels, abilities, and sports. I didn't want it to just be the professional athletes out there. I didn't want it to just be collegiate athletes or just the elite athletes of the world. I wanted to be like your friend down the block who could do a trick shot. I wanted it to be something that was dope. It was a community to uplift and empower girls and women in sport, no matter the age level, ability, or sport. Yeah. And I held so tightly to that premise for so long. And now, thankfully, there's so many other platforms out there that can uphold that. And the demand for sports coverage is there. So whatever pivot any outlet decides to do, it's as a result of the demand for women's sports, and I think that's beautiful.
When you start something, I mean, even me starting Up the Score with AP, it's one thing to start it,
Mm-hmm.
obviously, but it's one thing to keep that momentum growing and continue to put into something that you started, your baby, your business. What did it mean to not only start it, but you put on?
Mm-hmm.
Like, when I say you're a revolutionist, you're a pioneer, like, nobody really wasn't doing it how you are doing it and how you started it. What did it mean to keep that momentum going?
Yeah, it was never about me. And that's why the heartbeat of what I do supersedes, trends in time. It's because I truly care about women's sports. I truly care about the athletes. I truly care about those who are underrepresented. My heart is rooted in that. I would do it with or without the vanity that comes with it, with or without the glamour that comes with it. That's where I stay rooted. Yeah. And you can't stop. That paired with the sustained energy is a lethal combination, because who's going to stop it?
Yeah.
And I'm 10 toes down in mine. Like, because I really got it out the mud, like in my 20s, I was doing, I had to survive, okay? And because I know how survival is, nobody's going to take me out of character for any type of money. And so I stay rooted in my passion. I don't marry myself to any organization outside of like what I want to see in women's sports. Mm-hmm. So as long as I am pouring into what I want to see in women's sports, and as long as these athletes are feeling open enough and safe enough to allow me the opportunity to tell their stories or to amplify their stories, then I'm good to go.
I mean, you do that by being authentic. You do that by being...
Nobody but. Can't be nothing else. This is me. This is what you get.
That's what you get. I mean, that's what makes athletes feel so safe with you, though, to tell their stories and do it in an authentic way.
No, I care, and I don't. I think that I operate off a place of privilege, because I don't need to break news. I don't need to push an agenda.
Yeah.
My whole premise is amplification. So I'm just the exclamation point. I don't need to draw out the sentence for them. I open up space for them to write their own sentences.
All right, I just like listening to you and just kind of being around you. Like I said, like, you got it right from the beginning. You got it right. You push the agendas, like you said. You push social justice. You push racial equity. You push gender equality. You push all of these things for these athletes. And you talk about a league like the WNBA, who has all of these issues. And for you to be able to do that and be on the forefront to do that, you put yourself in a position to where you have to be an educator at the same time, because we got new fans of the WNBA. People don't know. What does it mean to be able to bear that burden almost of having to dish out those stories, but also be an educator to those who don't know?
Look, I'm not here to convince anybody of anything outside of sharing stories. Yeah. And it has always been my responsibility to have a wide range of stories to share. Yeah. And that comes with a historical context. That comes with following the league since its inception. And so having that background, the verbiage and the way I tell stories lends itself to give you the context behind it. And I'm not reliant on major storylines. I honestly feel like we're the machine that can push the storylines. So that's where it comes from. That's just where it comes from.
I mean, you were with the W when during the time of Black Lives Matter. You talk about being on the front.
The 2016 one.
Yeah.
And I remember the Minnesota Lynx making their statement of, hey, we're not answering these questions at this press conference. Maya Moore, Rebecca Brunson, Lindsay Whalen, and Sylvia Fowles standing there and refusing to answer questions because of what happened. And then I remember New York risking it all, turning their warm-ups inside out in protest and risking fines back before the CBA was renegotiated, and they didn't have the salaries they have now. And so everything the league has stood for, problems or not, they've always been on the right side of history. Yeah. And to be in alignment with such a powerful league, such a strong 156, and the longest standing sports league or the longest standing women's sports league in United States history, I don't take lightly. Yeah. And it is an honor to be in perfect alignment with that.
When you talk about just being storytellers, we have to push that envelope, because who will?
Girl, we have to. It's our responsibility. That's not a burden. That's our job. Our job is to not be lazy. Our job is to not let narratives perpetuate that people just woke up and decided to spread. Yeah. In a world that anybody has a platform and anybody can say anything and people will take it as fact, that's a scary place. But moving with integrity and intention will always supersede whatever superficial things that are online.
I mean, now that the WNBA is growing and you are seeing the new fan base and even new talent now,
Yeah.
how do you give advice to somebody who's stepping into this landscape of women's sports now as it is continuing to grow?
Well, what did I tell you, Alexis?
What haven't you told me?
So my blanket answer is don't wait for your yes.
Yeah.
You find the blank space and fill it. But I will say, Teresa Weatherspoon told me, don't pass the baton, but light the fire, because you don't want to give away what you have in that way that it just is in possession for somebody else. I want to light the fire in the next generation or the older generation, anybody who is willing to receive it, so that they can carry their own torch and make their impact. And that's what I see. That I tell people that it's not fun by yourself, right?
Like, y'all can be at the top together.
Yeah, exactly. And honestly, what did Candace say the other day? We all don't have to kiki all the time.
We don't.
We can just make sure that we're holding space for those who are in here for the right reasons and holding space for everybody's talents to shine. It doesn't have to be forced. It doesn't have to be manufactured, but there is space for anybody who wants to contribute to women's sports.
Because there's so many stories.
There's so many stories to tell. And I am blessed, so blessed, that I have the most solid group of girls around me, and we came up out the mud together. I don't know where I would be if Angel Gray didn't let me stay with her during ACC Media Days, if Monica McNutt didn't give me a voice before I had one, if LaChina wasn't there to answer my phone calls in the middle of the night, if Autumn wasn't there to sit there in State Farm Arena 10 years ago, talk about what we wanted to do. If Erica Arielle and I didn't have those road trips up and down from New York to Connecticut because I didn't have a car, you know what I mean? Things like that. If I didn't have my tribe around me, I'd be nothing.
I'm grateful to have someone like you in my corner. Always. When I think the first time I met you, and we had exchanged messages on Instagram and everything like that, but I met you in Dallas. I don't know if you remember, and we took a picture together, but we're cute. We took a picture, and I'm like, dang, she's literally the same person from when I see her on social media. She took the initiative to speak to me on Instagram, and then we actually fast forward to present day, working alongside you at Athletes Unlimited, talk about full circle. But when you talk about those relationships and building those relationships and having people in your corner, that's significant and instrumental for people who want to grow the game and want to tell stories. So I want to say I appreciate you for just being who you are and being authentically you and embracing me the way that you do.
People try to overcomplicate relationship building and honestly journalism in general. Everybody's like, Ari, how do you talk to athletes like a human? Do you know what I mean? We don't need to overcomplicate conversation. As long as it's reciprocity and interest in wanting to know what each other says, it's going to be a great conversation. I don't know about you, but I'm not ever sitting awkwardly across from somebody running out of questions because I'm just curious. And the curiosity that I have with every person who is enthusiastic around the women's sports space, it helps ignite me, and I can pour into them as they pour into me, and it's just mutual. And like I said, relationships are currency. You want to make sure you're always in the surplus. Always.
Period. Your journey didn't start overnight too. I want to talk about how you got here, because like I said, you're everywhere. You're literally everywhere, but that didn't happen overnight, obviously. But I want to just talk about how you literally got here, because you're doing all the things. You wear so many different hats. When we were on the way here, you were saying that you were in France and you had to go to Connecticut.
I did go to
You were
France
so many
and then
places.
Bristol.
Yes, exactly. But you're doing so many things. How do you, for one, stay grounded in that?
Because that could be taken away at any time.
Hello.
These are blessings that God gave me, and God don't like ugly. So if I'm not grounded, where am I? I don't take for granted any of this. This is not normal. People, my best friends always tell me, Ari, your life is not normal. And I recognize that. And it can be snatched at any time. And I don't operate in a place of fear, but of gratitude. And so I feel like groundedness kind of is juxtaposed with gratitude. And as long as I maintain that gratitude, I can be grounded. I'm not entitled to any of this.
Yeah.
My career could end tomorrow.
Yeah.
But I have a great support system around me. I have a great vision, heart to sustain whether or not I'm employed.
Yeah. And you exude that passion on a day-to-day basis, like the way that you tell stories, the way that you are with athletes. How do you stay passionate though in all of that? Because I'd imagine it can be difficult to show up every day and be, but that's just you though, your energy. But
how stay passionate?
How do you stay passionate?
Because there's more work to do.
Yeah.
As we're talking about how far women's sports is going, Title IX is in jeopardy, and we've been lobbying at Capitol Hill up until recently, because Lord knows the world's imploding, but been lobbying Capitol Hill for women in sports, girls in sport. There's already a steep drop-off after the age of 14, and just knowing that we don't know how protected that girls are going to be within that space. Yeah. Honestly, in education, because Title IX includes all of it. The only reason why sport is in it because of the word activity. Just making sure our rights are protected keeps me going. When you're on the front lines, no matter how tired, there's a lot of momentum behind you and a lot of energy that makes you have to keep going. It's a sense of urgency. It's not just like, I want to be here. I have to be here. I show up as a Black woman and I'm a woman in sports. There's so many little nuances behind that don't allow me to be able to lay down when I'm tired. Yeah. And it's not a negative feeling. Let's be very clear. It can be exhausting at times, but if you're called to do something, you have to walk in that. Yeah. Because there's no alternative I don't think there's an alternative to the way I live life, because of that's what I'm called to do. Yeah. Yeah.
You told me one time, you asked me, we were talking about something, you were like, well, why can't you do it? Or why?
Sounds like something I was saying.
No, because you're like, well, why can't you? And we were just talking candidly. It wasn't even about anything, but I know that's the attitude you have when you're talking to people. Why can't you? And that's the mentality that you have. If not me, then who? If not me, then who? Literally. So how are you able to just embrace your roles, like I said, and have just that why not me? If it wasn't for you, a lot of stuff wouldn't be where it is. I feel like just the way you
true.
True.
It's true.
It's literally
and
true. Just the way you tell stories. But where did you get that why, if not me, then who? Attitude.
I'm the only child.
Okay. Period.
I have nothing else. I'm the only child, only grandchild. I didn't understand when things couldn't go my way as long as the ask was a moral one. Yeah. And I always was the one to question authority. I know that some things are taught, but some things you're just born with. I got the legacy box where it develops all your old videos, and I was literally 1 year old. The second I could talk, I was asking questions. Why? Why does this happen this way? Why can't this happen? So I think I was just born with it.
I think the same as you. I'm the same way as well. My mom was in labor for 1 hour with me.
Oh, you were you jumped.
I was ready.
You were an athlete. That's a different thing.
No, that's a whole different thing, because literally I'm always just
get me out of here.
Get me out of here. And it's actually true to this day. I'm always doing something. I'm always like, but when I got into storytelling, that's what I knew what I wanted to do. When I played basketball, that's what I knew what I wanted to do. So it's like, I'm gonna do it regardless of whatever it is. And it's to have that why not me attitude in a world that we're living in 2025, where it's so many opportunities, but to embrace that opportunity.
I just wish more people knew what existed. And I will say, I'm so thankful that along my path, even though I definitely dream big and I don't think anything's out of the scope of things, I have people like a Taylor Rooks to tell me, hey, girl, this is what I'm getting. She's very, very transparent about everything dealing with work. And that makes me know what we're worth, right? So I'm thankful to people like Taylor who say, hey, I love that this is what you got going on, but you can push for more. Yeah. There's so much more out there. And my hope is that everybody has somebody in their life that can expose them to, hey, your ceiling's here, like, you can keep going. Like, this exists for you, and this is your floor. Yeah. Yeah.
I ask this really to everybody, and the question is, at what moment of your life did you decide to up the score? And I know that you're continuously up in the score in your life, but for me, it's not a one thing. Like, it wasn't like one moment I can say like, this is when I up the score. I continuously want to up the score in my life. But for you, what moments that you feel like you really up the score?
My first moment was in 2018 with Liliana. I tell this story often.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little girl who went viral for standing in front of Maya Moore's poster for Jordan Brand with her arms outstretched. And then she ended up going to the WNBA All-Star game. And I met her, and she put my media pass around her neck. She was 4 years old at the time. And the next day, her dad was like, all Liliana could talk about was, Daddy, she has hair just like mine. And it made me break down. I literally couldn't tell that story for like 3 years without crying, because that was a representation. So that made me want to be better and want to stay dedicated. And it was the reassurance I needed that I was on the right path, but made me want to stay dedicated to my craft. Then the next up the score moment was probably when all the encounters that I have with people in mass on social media, who call on different negative things for me when I advocate for what's right, when I'm on the right side of history. I have to continue staying rooted in my morality and fight for those who can't fight for themselves. When I see what's happening in the world, it causes me, it pulls me, compels me to up the score and stay very vigilant in my path for advocacy and activism. So my career was based in the representation that Liliana saw. My activism is based on the fact that the world is imploding, frankly.
The world is.
And I up the score whenever an athlete thanks me for telling their story, because I know that there's so many more stories to tell. There's so many more opportunities to open up space for them to know that they matter. They don't have to have all these Olympic gold medals. They don't have to have WNBA championships. They don't have to even play basketball.
Yeah.
They can be a, cyclist. They can
do anything.
Big wave surf. They can do anything and still deserve to have their story told.
Talk about representation, though.
Period.
Like, representation is the reason I'm even sitting right here and even have the idea of wanting to storytell. You have people like you mentioned, LaChina Robinson, Carolyn Peck, Andrew Grays of the world, yourself. Like, representation is the reason I'm literally sitting right here.
It's so much easier for us to have opportunities if somebody is the case study, right?
Because we don't often get these opportunities, even to begin with.
And I would say, especially when I started out, if LaChina didn't exist, there would be none of us. Yeah. Let's be very clear. None of this next gen. Everybody comes through the product of LaChina's garden. Like, she planted those seeds so we can grow. And I'm forever indebted to her. And I don't think that people realize how much she has her hands in every single one of us. If I did not see her, I remember, this is the beginning of my career. So in 2017, I was like a couple years into it, and I saw her at the table with Ryan and Rebecca at WNBA draft. Yeah. And I was like, I put a Facebook status, I will be sitting next to LaChina one day. And then you fast forward to last year when my first linear spot ever with ESPN was next to LaChina for WNBA Countdown, 1.3 million viewership. If I didn't have her to aspire to be at that desk, I don't see that for me, right? If I didn't, I would have just been, YouTube's great. Like, we would have been right there. But she opened up the possibility, and she opened up the possibility for me to only do women's sports. Yeah. Like, I only wanted to ever do women's sports. And she's a reflection that that's possible. Yeah. She told me that women's sports needs me 10 years ago. And so now, fast forward, now I can pour into whoever comes across my path. Yeah. And it's all because of LaChina for me.
You said you wrote a Facebook post, but you also wrote a tweet.
Yeah, I did.
Typed a tweet. You could have typed anything in 140 characters, but you typed specific words. You said the WNBA is so important. And what was a tweet turned into a mantra, turned into a movement.
And a 25th
anniversary campaign.
Yeah.
Dissect that. And what you meant when you tweeted that.
I meant what I said.
There
was no strategy behind it. I literally, like, how y'all tweet, like, because I don't be on Twitter no more. How y'all tweet is what it was. Like, I just thought the first thing that came to mind was the WNBA is so important. And so the next moment where an athlete was being dope, same thing. The WNBA is so important. Sometimes you just have to call things the way they are.
Energy.
And that energy, 4 Ys. 4 Ys. 4 Ys.
Every time I say energy, I think Ari.
4 Ys. Sometimes capitalized. Sometimes it's a little subtle.
It's still energy, though.
Energy. But no, I call things what they are.
Yeah.
And I didn't think about SEO at the time. I didn't think about it turning into what it was. I just said what I said, and then I kept seeing it, and so the phrase was still applicable.
Yeah.
And so I just used it. And I think that so many things we try to overdo or overplan for. I want to go viral. The best viral moments are the best.
The ones that
you don't know they're going to go viral.
Yeah.
But me being in social, I know that if things create more traffic, then it's probably better. And I just kept it consistent. People look for consistency in life. There's no consistency anywhere.
Yeah.
And so people look for consistency in life, and that was a consistent thing for people to look for, especially the women's sports fan that at the time was underserved.
I think that was you almost tweeted that a decade ago.
2016.
Yes. And when you think about that tweet then, is it more prevalent now than it was then, just based off the trajectory of where women's sports is now and the buy-in to
I don't think that the trajectory has anything to do with the prevalence of the importance of the WNBA. The WNBA has been important since its inception. And it's just something that's more commonly used now because people are into it, and I hope people stay.
The buy-in now, why do you think that people are buying into women's sports now?
Because they're getting to know these athletes, and also let it be known that this generation has never had to not have a women's professional league in the country.
Yeah.
So you're born into the WNBA. You don't know life without it, so you know you can go pro with it. So that means more people are aiming towards it. And then that paired with social media, people like Zaya in high school, her little finger, like that. You know, Paige being covered since literally 6th grade online.
Yeah.
There's a longer runway for you to fall in love with players and really get to know them as humans as they journey. So you're kind of growing up with them. And so when they go to the pros, you want to continue to support. Also, the business side of it, it's being shown more. So when it's being shown more, it's normalized. When it's normalized, it's part of your life, and you're part of your life, you intend to love it more.
I want to go back a little bit. I know you love to talk about the junior WNBA.
Yeah.
Kind of talk about that path and what it means to you.
Oh my God, I loved my work with the junior WNBA is like my favorite job ever. And we go tour the country in efforts to keep girls in sport past the age of 14. So a lot of them are like 4th to 7th grade kind of thing. So the talent level is very varied. And I just think it's so beautiful that they go out to play. They just want to be with their friends and dribble a ball. Now, I have assistants with helping them dribble a ball. There are always WNBA players present, and so that bridges the gap too.
Yeah.
If you're over here meeting like Kalia Copper, Courtney Williams, Dejanay Carrington, when you're 9, you're going to be following the WNBA since 9, right?
Yeah.
Like, so the junior WNBA, you can't overstate how important it is to the landscape of women's sports, or just girls' confidence in general, and just knowing that like sports are cool. I can take this as far as I want to. I can be in and around it. And what I love is we always bring in another guest that has nothing to do with like actually playing.
Yeah. So
like I'm hosting, obviously broadcast, interviewer type of talent. Then you have the players. Then you have just other people from other walks that are sports adjacent that don't necessarily dribble a ball for a living.
Yeah.
So it's just a great representation for them.
Now, I want to be clear. You're not just basketball affiliated.
No, girl.
And I know you have a love and passion for gymnastics.
I do.
Well. Talk about that a little bit.
Oh, but that's like my first love. Like I was a gymnast until 13, and then they were like, "Hey, babes, you're already
You're too
5'8".
tall.
You're like you're
You're
literally
too tall.
you're literally 5'8". I don't know. I was 5 feet in the 3rd grade. I don't even think Jordan's 5 feet now, and she's 24, 25. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, she
so
doesn't even look it.
I just knew that wasn't going to be the sport for me, so I ended up going to cheerleading. But gymnastics, like, I know that sport like the back of my hand. I can break it down like that. Like, people think that basketball is my thing. Like, gymnastics and volleyball, those are my sports. Because those are the sports that I did. Like, because you can't say play gymnastics, but like those are sports that I did. I did competitive cheer, gymnastics, and volleyball, and I did them all for a while. Specifically cheerleading and volleyball, but gymnastics is just such a dynamic sport. It's such a difficult sport, and I don't think people realize that the margin of error for gymnastics is like a millimeter in every apparatus that you do. So yeah, love it.
I mean, now that we're in 2025 and the trajectory of women's sports is trending upward, what has just been your favorite thing about the overall growth?
Girl, I love seeing people make TikToks about it. I love seeing the different opinions, because typically I'm like from like the journalistic standpoint, but I love seeing the creators do their own thing, whether that's fashion, whether that's gossip, whether that's what's happening on the court.
And we know you love fashion.
I do love a fashion moment, girl, and I have strong opinions about those tunnel fits. I think, anyway, story for a different day. But I think that any angle that you can draw interest in is beautiful. I love the collaborations between athletes and brands. I love like stud buds and all of them, like in Marina and Sanaya. Like everybody's taking ownership of their stories and creating their own content. So like the athletes being empowered to be their own creators, the creators giving us everything, whether that's tea, fashion, on the court, debates. I love that there's such a willingness to
grow the game.
Yeah, just
in
like
every aspect.
You're right.
In every aspect.
Yes, ma'am. We right here.
We right here. But no, Stud Buzz, all that Marina and all them are doing, it's been great to really see that the athletes step into who they are outside of stats.
And not being afraid to show it.
And not being afraid. Because then I looked on Courtney and Teaspoon's page. They have like followers. And they just set the page up.
Entertainment, girl. It's so entertaining. And then like, I love that they're owning the fact that they're dope people. Yeah. Right? Like, so much of women's sports has been filtered through the lens of traditional media. Yeah. If you can get rid of traditional media for a second, not saying forever, because this is my literal employer, but like, if you could just take away the red tape and allow players to put out their stories how they want to, something hilarious and great happens. Entertainment.
This will be my last question. I love to ask this question. What advice would you give to a young girl wanting to play a sport or get into broadcasting? What was something that somebody might have told you, or some advice that you would just give somebody who wants to step into the landscape of women's sport?
I have 2 separate advice pieces. Okay. I already said don't wait for your yes, so I'm not going to go there. I'll say that you're always going to have another opportunity. So don't be so hard on yourself. Like, don't chase that millimeter that you could have done differently. Like, don't be so stuck on perfection. It doesn't exist. And people also don't evaluate you like you evaluate
yourself.
Now, be very disciplined. Be prepared. Expect excellence out of yourself. Demand that out of yourself, because you deserve to be excellent. But like, don't rely on the false, image of perfection. It just doesn't exist. You'll be chasing it forever. You're gonna get tired. That's how you get tired. The quickest way to get tired is chasing perfection.
Burnout.
Yes, and I would say it's more to do with life. Don't ever let anybody mispronounce your name, and that is not just restricted to the actual mispronouncing of the name. Don't let people alter your identity. That's convenient for them. I always, if anybody calls me Arielle, it's never Arielle. It's always Arielle. And I'm never going to let you call me Arielle, because that's not who I am. So whatever characteristic, however you interpret it how you like, but don't ever let anybody mispronounce your name.
Y'all heard her. Don't let nobody mispronounce your name.
Don't let that go over your head.
Don't let that go over your head, because it means more than what.
Yeah.
Period. the last thing. We're going to finish off with some rapid fire.
I love a rapid fire.
Everybody's
How
not-
rapid do I have to be?
I was about to say, nobody's really been able
could
to
be
master
rapid.
this.
And you gonna be looking at me crazy if I'm actually rapid. You say you want rapid fire. Do you really want rapid fire?
I don't know if you're going to, I don't know. You surprise me.
Okay.
All right. So, if the W season were to end right now, who would be your MVP? Rapid.
I don't know if I can do this because I'm a voter.
If
Give me another question.
No.
I can't do that one. I'm an actual voter. So.
But like, if you you set out your analyst hat, like, or you can.
Okay, I'm never going against Asia Wilson. I think Fee is playing with a chip on her shoulder, and Alicia Gray is overlooked.
That was rapid to me. Who in the league doesn't get the credit you feel they deserve, or you feel like is the most underrated?
Natasha Cloud, because the things that she doesn't always appear on the stat sheet. And she's just really the energizer, the battery for any team she's on. And she does it all while fighting for every type of social justice that you can ever imagine.
I mean, we can talk about that.
Yeah.
Knowing what you know now, if you could start over, what would you change?
Not a thing. I would
Period.
not change a thing about my career. Maybe personal life, I would do a little something differently. A little something differently, but that's not, I'm not that candid.
I think we all could.
Yeah.
I love that answer,
Yeah.
though. I love the answer. List your top 5 players by not only their legacy, but by their impact.
Okay. In no order at all.
No order.
In just basketball?
You can be broad.
Let's start with basketball.
Okay.
Candace Parker.
That got to be number 1.
And you said why? This isn't rapid.
No, I said, but by their impact. It doesn't. You can say why though for Candace.
Candace Parker. She transcends basketball. She transcends generations. She's a great player, a great friend, great human, businesswoman. Just is the best. Everything she touches turns gold. Midas touch. 2. Okay, I'm gonna take it to a different sport. Dominique Dawes. She was the one who told me that I can exist in spaces that weren't made for me too. By her being a Black gymnast and being just a different body type, different skin color, it was dope. And we wouldn't have gotten, Gabby Douglas and Simone Biles and Jordan Childs if we didn't have Dominique Dawes. I would say Flojo. She taught me flavor, how to present yourself. Like you can just be as loud as you want to in your sport and be great. They just thought she was fly. Like, you know what I mean? Like growing up, she's just fly.
You're at 3.
I know. I have.
It's tough though.
No, it's not. It is for top 5 because they change all the time, and I'm just trying to think of different sports. I would say Ashley Johnson from U.S. Women's Water Polo. Again, throwing out the mold, and she really is. She's actively working to break the barriers for Black women in the water.
Yeah.
That's dope. Oh God, number 5. Let me think. I'm trying to think of somebody, a different sport. I'll give it to Serena. Just being everybody's GOAT.
Yeah.
And being able to be so multifaceted and really altering your reality and your circumstances and just rising to the top and being glamorous and fun while she does it.
Period. And the final question, who in your life do you feel has upped the score?
I'll give it to LaChina. LaChina is the blueprint for everybody. She demands excellence out of us, and she is the North Star for so many, and she just does not get recognized enough for that. So LaChina Robinson.
Love that. Ari, I think we can land this plane. I appreciate you so much for taking... When I tell y'all this girl's a workaholic, she literally got off the plane to come here to do this episode with me.
Now we have a road trip going.
But like I said, Ari, thank you so much for taking time. I know you're busy, but you decided to be here with me, and I appreciate you so much.
Well, I am proud of you for upping the score. You stepped into your purpose, and you continue to amplify these stories and get everybody on your big comfy couches.
And that's a wrap.
It's time to up the score with AP. It's time to find out what it took to get to what we did. Had to turn it up a notch, a blazer, keep the heat on. We up at the crack of dawn, not the ones to sleep on. Now you about to hear it.